All right, and we are back. Okay, guys, sorry about that. You know what? Just this is why I love Apple products. I don't have issues with Apple products. It's always some bullshit. It's always some bullshit when you're working with Windows. It's always something. All right. So, all right. We were talking about the uniform issue. So let me bring this into the stream.
For
Okay? And just
$160,000.
don't pay any attention.
Well, you see them
to-
everywhere, keeping an eye on casinos, hotels, and businesses in the valley. We're talking about private security who help respond to situations sometimes before even law enforcement can.
But now changes could come to their attire. 8 News Now reporter Victoria Saha.
This is coming out of Las Vegas, okay? Keep in mind, this is coming out of Las Vegas, but this is something that we are definitely dealing with here in Oregon. There is a House bill that went through that goes into effect. I think it goes into effect January 1st of next year. So let's go ahead and listen to this.
Attended a special meeting where Metro shared some concerns over security officers' uniforms overlapping.
Private security officers are spread out across the valley, oftentimes wearing heavy-duty uniforms.
You can't look like a cop to the regular person.
That was the biggest concern at Thursday's meeting with the Private Investigators Licensing Board. Private security company uniforms are approved by Metro, but now it's Metro that's concerned about the uniforms and the duties of security officers.
We are not asking to look identical to law enforcement. We are asking for support.
Discussing possible changes in uniform, ranging from the protective gear, color to patches, isn't sitting well with the many security leaders.
Now, let me just say this. I think that the issues are coming from not necessarily the leadership in terms of the people that are sitting in those positions. This is coming directly from law enforcement, okay? Law enforcement has an issue, and it goes well beyond uniform. Law enforcement has an issue that private security is filling a role that they themselves left wide open, okay? Because before private security was put into a situation where they were able to offer services to the people within a municipality or a city or an area, right? That was up to law enforcement. But law enforcement has made the decision that they don't want to have the liability of working these locations like grocery stores or private businesses, what have you. They don't want that liability because we live in such a litigious day and age and a litigious society where if you're working as an officer, you're working as a law enforcement officer, they are being put in a situation where, their pension, their livelihood is at stake. So that has left open an opportunity for private security to fill that gap. Also, in situations where, the police are working in areas where they're not respected, where they're not appreciated, where they're not being given an opportunity to do their job, by them withholding their response. Specifically, you saw this in Portland. By them taking the stance that they are going to withhold their response, that left an opening for private security. A lot of law enforcement agencies are unhappy with the fact that private security officers are making decent money, that they're able to work a location or work a job, not have to deal with the bullshit and the bureaucracy. It's a very simple system. I pay you to do X, Y, and Z, and you do it. There's no politics involved. There's no bureaucracy involved. There's no BS involved. It's direct to consumer, right? And you see this in every aspect of society. You're seeing this right now in college football. A lot of coaches really upset with Deion Sanders. Why? Because Deion is direct to consumer, right? He has a direct relationship with these players. He has a direct relationship with a large segment of the fan base. He has a direct relationship where he's working with different types of companies and people who can sponsor, right? And that's cutting out a lot of the bureaucracy. It's cutting out a lot of the politics. It's cutting out a lot of the bullshit. And that's what private security is bringing to the table. And so this is one way where law enforcement, in my opinion, where law enforcement can create a wedge and make things more difficult. You're going to hear about some of the officers talking about the softened look, having the officers in high vis uniforms. not allowing the officers to wear outer plate carriers, not allowing the officers to wear certain types of equipment. This is to potentially keep people from getting into this line of work, because what I believe law enforcement wants is to discourage people from working in this type of environment because it's causing problems. I know here in Portland, big issue with companies and local businesses saying, hey, why is it that I'm paying a certain amount of money in taxes, and when I call for a response, I can't get it? But if I hire this private security company and I ask them to do X, Y, and Z, they're able to do it. That's creating a lot of problems. I'm getting off on a rant here. I promise I'm going to get back to the video. Here we go.
People come to a property who they see first, security.
That uniform and that badge, to me, is a de-escalation tool.
But that de-escalation tool is being questioned by Metro.
Wearing a badge that represents otherwise can be very confusing to the public, but other law enforcement.
The board brought in Lieutenant Allie Burnett with Metro's Special Investigative Unit. She showed examples of how security uniforms could look like police.
The only issue that I can see here is if you're not clearly displaying security, right? So whether you want to wear an outer plate carrier, you want to wear, a drop leg holster, you want to have a badge, whatever it is, it should plainly say security. As long as it says security on it and there's no question as to what role you're filling, I don't see what the issue is. This seems very arbitrary, and this goes right back to the bullshit that we were talking about at the beginning of the first video.
Be extremely confusing. We would never ask them to take police action.
But the big concern expressed is that private security officers are often the first to respond.
Hey, on a separate note, what a fucking, did you guys see this move here? Stopping the knife attack and then taking them right down to a control technique. Now, this is the kind of training that I'm talking about.
Of how security uniforms could look like police.
Would be extremely confusing. We would never ask them to take police action.
But the big concern expressed is that private security officers are often the first to respond and react. So what would happen if their authoritative look softens?
Shots fired at Jones Gardens, and all of our units was there, but it was not one police officer there.
You don't want to turn it into another Uvalde.
Right.
Or some similar situation like that.
Today's meeting was just a discussion. No decisions have been made. The next steps would be hosting a workshop with Metro and security officers to discuss their uniforms. Victoria Saha, 8 News Now.
So again, guys, listen, the issue just comes down to being properly displayed. Pistolero here says, my colleagues and I are facing the exact same stuff that a police officer would face with less equipment. And we're even bigger targets because of the high vis. You can see them from space. Guys, listen, type into your computer, TriMet security, and look at what these guys are forced to wear. This comes directly from the city council, directly from people who are in law enforcement that are wanting these security guards to be completely in a position to where it's almost like if you were to put security in a pair of fucking clown shoes, right? Like just literal clown shoes. The goal is to delegitimize these security guards almost to the point of laughability. Now I know this officer here, Pistolero. I know him personally. Great guy, great officer, and to his credit, does an amazing job. A lot of those people who work at the TriMet, they're on the Max line, which is kind of like our above ground subway system. And it's just inundated with homeless people, inundated with drugs. These people work a very, very dangerous post, and they're unarmed. They're unarmed, and they're put in these uniforms that just delegitimizes them to be damned. And in my opinion, it puts them in grave danger. If you're possible, can you comment on whether or not you guys are able to wear protective body armor? I know at the very least you guys should have some sort of stab vest, but I don't think I've ever seen any of you guys wearing protective armor. Armed Citizen says in Virginia, you have to identify as either a security guard or a security officer. That is what I think is coming January 1st of 2024 here in Oregon. They passed some bill that basically states that you cannot have anything that says anything other than security. No armed agent, no agent of the state, and I don't agree with these other terms anyway. You're a security guard, you're a security officer. Be proud of that, post that, have that everywhere displayed. But this high vis shit is for the effing birds, man. And I really have a problem with that. But this goes back to the conversation, guys. Listen, uniforms, tactical equipment doing the most. The whole point of the tactical equipment, that seems to be a stance that a lot of people are taking. That again, we don't need to have certain equipment, that we shouldn't be wearing certain equipment. And that's just absolutely lunacy. Wear what you need, wear what you have to have. And do your job, guys. Do your job and be safe. Now, when it comes to doing the most, I think this next video is what we want to pull up. Did you guys hear about the security guard in, I believe it was New Orleans? Let me close this for a second. Hang on here. Did you guys see the situation in New Orleans where the officer shot the guy that hit her with a brick, or like threw a rock at her, right? I think that's the next video. Let me pull this
on
up.
camera. Someone opened fire in front of a
this is it. So this is going to be the New Orleans, Louisiana library shooting. If you guys haven't seen this, you gotta see this. Check this out. Let's
stop in downtown New Orleans this evening. The shocking video shows what appears to be an armed guard shooting at a man. The NOPD says it happened just after 5 this evening. Minutes ago, we learned a suspect has been arrested. Police say the man was taken to the hospital with at least 1 gunshot wound. He is in critical condition. Take a look at what happened. We do want to warn you, you may find it disturbing. WWL-TV obtained this video shot by an eyewitness. The witness was in the 200 block of Loyola Avenue Saturday evening. Across the street, you can see individuals walk towards the New Orleans main library. You can tell it's broad daylight and a busy intersection in front of a bus stop. The witness claims to see the man in dark clothing hit the woman.
Oh, you hit her now. Oh,
the man appears to be running from a female guard. He picks something up and throws it at her. The guard then draws her gun and fires back 7 shots. She then runs and fires 4 more times. Shortly after, the video ends.
All right, so is that an Allied Universal guard? It's always Allied Universal. I feel like that's either Allied Universal or Securitas. If anybody knows, put that in the comments. But look, this goes back to training. Clearly, you should not be trying to fight a fleeing person. It's hard to kind of get a grasp on what happened that led up to that, but you clearly see the person running away and you see the officer running after this person. Now, under what circumstances should you be chasing a fleeing suspect? Listen, if that suspect has a knife and has made the statement, I'm going to fucking kill this person over here. That person has a gun and, potentially they've already made the statement that they're going to shoot this person over there. Okay, maybe under that circumstance, you're dealing with a fleeing person, but that's completely insane. Not to mention the fact that she has violated every single one of the 4 cardinal firearm safety rules. And again, Armed Citizen here says, look, she lost her cool. Never let your emotions get to you. Guys, sometimes you got to take the L. Sometimes you got to take the L. Somebody punches you as they're running off. Somebody spits on you. I get it, man. We're all men. We're all grown adults here. No one wants to be in that situation, but it's very, very easy in security for us to go from the victim to the aggressor, right? From the victim to the aggressor. And when you're making that step to chase someone after they've done something to you, again, I understand, the thought process behind it, but you got to be very, very, very careful in situations like that, not to put yourself in a situation where you're becoming the aggressor. So many things here from a tactical standpoint, from a delivery standpoint of going after this person and then shooting into a crowd, shooting into a crowded street, just absolutely unacceptable. There's no excuse for it. But hey, when you don't want training, this is the kind of shit that happens, which brings me to our next part of the video. So let me just set up for you guys a conversation that I had with somebody about 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago. There's a lot of security companies here in Portland. Okay. And aside from your major box locations, your box security companies, Securitas, Allied Universal, AGS, there's a lot of individual private security companies, a lot of good ones out there too. So in one of the locations where I work, we have an attached business to one of the buildings that I work at, right? And they have their own private security. So the location where I normally work, we offer private security, and then there's a little attached business to that, and they have their own private security. So on a daily basis, I come in contact with these guards, and they're unarmed. Good kids. Most of them are very, very young. It's probably their first, kind of foray into anything that's, law enforcement centered. And, they're dealing with the same people that we're dealing with. So they're in a disadvantage because they're unarmed and they're young, right? And that's a very bad combination. So a lot of times in having conversations with these guys, there's just such a lack of training. So I asked one of the security guards, and again, this was like 3 or 4 months ago. I asked one of the security guards, I said, hey, do you have a number for the owner of your company? I would love to reach out to him. And I have a security training academy. I'd love to offer my services and see if I can help. And this kid was so excited. He was like, oh my God, yeah, that'd be great. We have so many new guys and people who are being put on post, and, none of us really know, a lot about what we're doing, and, blah, blah, blah. So he gives me the number. So the next day I call the number, and the number had a name. Let's just say Brad. The number had a name. He said, yeah, Brad's the owner of the company. So I called the number, and the guy answers, and I said, hey, can I speak to Brad? It's not the guy's name, but for the sake of this story, right? Can I speak to Brad? And the guy says, well, this is Tom. What can I do for you? And I said, well, I got this number from someone, and he told me that the owner of the company was named Brad. I have a business proposition. I'd like to speak to him. Is it possible that I can speak to him? And the guy says, well, whatever you have to say to him, you can say to me. Okay. Now, I'm thinking I was told to talk to this one person. I need to speak to that person. I said, well, if it's okay with you, sir, I'd like to speak to Brad, since that's the guy that I was told to ask for. And he goes, yeah, okay, no problem. He goes, well, I'll take a message and I'll get it to him. Okay, no problem. Everything was cool. That was the conversation. It was pretty cordial. So within 10 minutes, the Tom guy called. He sends me a message and says, hey, I talked to Brad. He told me that whatever you were going to tell him, you can tell me. So how can I help you? And I said, if it's all the same to you, sir, I would like to just wait and talk to Brad. So can you have him give me a call? Okay. So 2 days goes by, and then I get a call from Brad. So he says, yeah, this is Brad with ABC Security. Is Damien there? I said, yeah, this is Damien. I said, hey, look, I'm very, very happy that you called. I said, I have a business proposition. He goes, hey, let me stop you right there. Okay. I was talking to my business partner, Tom, and he said that you were ungodly rude to him. That's how he said it. You were ungodly rude to him. I don't know what your problem is, but we're not going to be doing any business together. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So I'm kind of shocked, I'm kind of at a loss for words. And I said, sir, I said, I'm a little bit shocked here. Okay. I said, I'm taken aback. I said, listen, I have a security training academy, and I wanted to offer my services to you guys. And, I apologize. There seems to be a big misunderstanding, miscommunication here. We're both in the security industry, and I think that you can respect the fact that if someone told me to ask for a specific person because that was the owner, just because someone told me that I could tell them the information that I was going to tell you, from an operational security standpoint, that would be a huge red flag that you shouldn't work for me if I were to divulge a business conversation to just a random person, because this other person's name was never mentioned, right? All due respect, but I'm trying to operate under operational security here, and I don't know if this person who answered the phone works for you. Maybe he could be a disgruntled employee, somebody that you're looking to fire. So he goes, no, let me just stop you. I don't want to hear it. Okay. There's not going to be any business between you and me. It's not going to be any business between my company and your company. And you have a great day. He hangs up the phone. I'm just like, holy shit, right? Well, be that as it may, this next story involves one of that company's security guards. So, without further ado, the company that did not need any training and did not want to have a conversation with me seems to be doing outstandingly great. So, let's see what they've done.
Just because he hit her?
Scratch this part.
And as we mentioned, they did not take action after he's
stabbing victim and has
been
working as a security
and running
This is
away,
from
but we
Portland.
don't know if he took any other action after he's out of the camera's line of sight.
There we go.
competent. Man working as a security officer in Northeast Portland is facing assault charges after police say he stabbed a man.
Fox 12's Paulina Aguilar spoke to the stabbing victim and has more tonight.
That security officer was working across the street at Bottle Drop on Northeast Gleason and 122nd. Portland police say the officer got into a physical altercation in the parking lot, and when they arrived, they found Nathan Milton here suffering from stab wounds. Portland police say it happened on Wednesday morning just after 8 o'clock. An affidavit of probable cause filed by Multnomah County DA's office states that 19-year-old security officer Arturo Troncoso yelled at Milton and a group of friends in the parking lot of the McDonald's through the fence, telling them to leave the area, when he says he saw the group smoking drugs on foil. The affidavit says Milton refused to leave, eventually leading to an altercation. That's when a second security officer got involved. The affidavit states Portland police recovered surveillance video of the incident and states that the video shows Milton and Troncoso on the ground fighting, then being pepper sprayed by a third party. The affidavit states the video shows Milton and Troncoso walking away in opposite directions, then Troncoso running towards Milton, stabbing him in the back.
So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing over at the other company, teaching motherfuckers to stab people in the back. That's what we got going on, huh? Right? So I don't bring anything to the table of substance, right? But you got Arturo out here stabbing motherfuckers in the back. Now, listen to, I've told you guys in so many times in videos, I've said, listen, what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself in a situation where the poor homeless guy is just, just a poor homeless guy trying to do the best for his family. Watch what this dude says on camera. He about to get a lawsuit out of it.
I'm having a real hard time. I can hardly move or like breathe or cough.
How do you move on and move forward from this?
Family.
Sell it.
I think family and support, and the strength of, a higher power, which mine is God.
Troncoso was arraigned Thursday.
Beautiful words, right? So, y'all enjoy court, and best of luck to you. And, if you do feel like reaching out to me, I am no longer available. Okay. So, guys, listen, armed means armed, unarmed means unarmed. Okay, so if you're working as a unarmed officer, that doesn't mean that you don't just not have a firearm, right? There's no situation where you should have a Bowie knife and be stabbing motherfuckers. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, just get your arm license and put your, I don't know, man. God, I feel like, we got armed security guards shooting people in Portland over fucking pallets of wood. We got unarmed security guards stabbing people. Like y'all are making this so difficult, and it does not have to be this difficult. Just go to work and do your job and just stop making it hard, because I can tell you guys what's going to happen. Y'all know in 6 months there's going to be an edict that comes down. Security guards under no circumstances can have pocket knives or a pair of scissors or shears or whatever. So man, I come on here and I try to do my best for the community. I try to do my best for the industry. And, we got companies out here that just making it hard, guys, making it hard. So anyway, guys, look, my food is here. I had to switch my computer. I spent all my time getting my lighting and everything right. And now we got this lighting is just not working for me, but that's what I got for you guys today. This was our first weekly live stream. We're gonna get it together. I'm gonna figure out what's going on with my computer here. I'm gonna get my desktop popping, but I'm happy that we did this, guys. I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you being a part of what we're doing and watching this live stream. And guys, listen, be smart, Okay, don't go out there stabbing anybody this week. Make good choices. Try not to make this harder for us than it has to be. All right. Y'all be good. Take care.